What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first official video of Wombat Bets. I'm Chris, and today we're going through UFC Vegas 58, Dos Anjos Vs Fiziev. Now, if you don't know how we do things around here, check the video on the main page, which explains. Now, let's go through my best bets for the upcoming card. So the first fight we've got is Chase Sherman v Jared Vanderaa. Now, Vanderaa 12-8, Chase Sherman 15-10, a couple of sloppy heavyweights. So this is probably the grossest fight on the card, and it's on the main card for some reason. So this is just going to be a classic heavyweight, fat, swagger bang card. It's going to be terrible. So if Vanderaa grapples, he'll probably get the sub, but who knows, with heavyweights, they'll probably just stand and trade. Sherman's been to a decision once. Vandeera's been to a decision twice, both in wins, that is. Now, on that, Sherman's really fighting for his UFC life here, so I can definitely see him pushing a lot harder and either getting caught or catching Vanderaa early. If you can see this article down here that I've highlighted, just talking about how the UFC loves to use him. So he's not really a big player in the UFC, and I really don't see him sticking around long if he loses this fight. So what we've got here is fight doesn't go the distance, 5 units at -179 or $1.56 if you're in Australia. The odds are at a 64% chance, and obviously it could just be a massive slop fest, but I can really see Vanderaa either getting the KO or getting the sub here. Now, the next fight we're going to move on to is Nina Nunes versus Cynthia Calvillo. Calvillo 9-4, Nunes 10-7. Again, not great fighters, and we're just going to get the average fights out the way first. So not really heap to this one. It's really just a fade on how Calvillo looked when she went up against Andrea Lee. And how she basically gave up. She hasn't looked great in any of her last couple of fights. Now, Nunes is an okay fighter. Her last losses to Tatiana Suarez and Mackenzie Dern, two pretty respectable fighters. And then it was 4 in a row before that. So at +150, there's probably going to be a 50-50 fight, I would say. So you really just got to take it. So it's a straight 1 unit on Nunes at +150 or $2.50. Now the next one is Ronny Lawrence versus Syed Yakub Kharitonov. So criminal that this is the opener of the whole event. It really should be on the main card for either the heavyweight fight or the Calvillo Nunes fight, but that's just the UFC. So it's really just a play on half a unit on +230 that Kharitonov wins inside the distance. Lawrence is a great pressure wrestler, consecutive takedowns, wears down his opponents. Really gives him meaning to the nickname The Heat because he really brings it every single time that he fights. The play here is just based off Kharitonov either catching him with a sub or his hands when Lawrence is going in for a takedown. He caught Trevin Jones with the guillotine when he was shooting in his last fight. He just caught him when he went in, wrapped him up, subbed him out. It's actually pretty rough, that one. So it's just a half a unit. I really do probably think that Lawrence is going to win via decision, but price doesn't really interest me. And with Kharitonov being relatively untested in the UFC, I'm willing to take half a unit on inside the distance. Next, we've got Zahabi versus Ricky Turcios. So Ultimate Fighter 29 winner, pretty Ricky. It's probably one of my favourite fighters going around. Really like how he looks. It's gonna keep this one pretty short. Ricky's a bit of a decision machine. The judges love him. A bit like Chikagian or. Mostly probably Chikagian. And he just, pressures forward, doesn't really hit too hard, doesn't really have a massive sub threat on the ground. He just hits and hits and hits, and then he moves really hard on the ground. So I don't really see him winning any other way, and he's definitely not knocking out Zahabi. Zahabi doesn't really throw too much either. He's pretty low volume, and Ricky is just really high volume, so it's going to cancel him out. And at +155, it's a pretty good odds, I feel, or $2.55. So I've got 1 unit on the +155 via decision, and I've got Tercio straight for 3 units at -179 or $1.57. Next fight is Nurmagomedov versus Douglas Silva de Andrade. So two great fighters here. De Andrade is just an absolute veteran and a warrior. He had a really good comeback win against Morozov last time, where he got dropped early, came back, dropped him late. Nurmagomedov coming off a super quick sub of Cody Stamann, who's a bit of a bum. So what we've got here is Nurmagomedov via decision and fight goes the distance. It's a little bit surprising, but I'll explain. So Andrade is super durable, and Nurmagomedov is super durable as well. I think he's just going to outpoint him if he throws a little bit more. Both are super high level grapplers. I don't see it going to the mat too much. A little bit similar to the Saruki and Gamrot main event. Two really good grapplers. That ends up just being a bit of a striking match. I doubt Sard can knock him out, and at plus 285 on the decision, I think that's excellent odds. They've both got 17 decisions between them. Neither have been KO'd, and then there's only one KO loss between them. So I'm really willing to take that shot at the plus 130 via decision. So it's 1 unit on the Magomed via decision, and then 1 unit on fight goes the distance. Next one I've got is just a small parlay. Over 1.5 rounds in the Magomedov and Andrade, which I explained before, and then the over 2.5 on Dos Anjos and Fiziev. Mentioned my reasoning for the Magomedov fight, but Dos Anjos and Fiziev are super durable. I do see that going the distance or a super late stoppage in the 4th or 5th rounds. So I think together at plus 125, it's a really good price. I don't really see too many versions of where this doesn't happen, besides when someone catches someone with a lucky hook or something a little bit crazy happens. So 2.5 units at plus 125 on that one, 124, sorry. Next is Brahalao versus Petrosian. I'm super excited for this one. Kai is probably one of my favourite fighters, really in most of the UFC. He's an absolute baller, super good prospect in middleweight. He's got great striking, great ground game. We really saw that in his last 2 fights, or his 2 fights in the UFC. He's just a really good all-round fighter. He just has it, really. So Petrosian, you sort of know what we're getting here. Good striking, or really good striking, and subpar ground game. One thing I sort of noticed when I was watching Petrosian is he gives up his back like really easily. And he did it against Rodriguez, and he also did it against Kolev in the Contender Series. And for whatever reason, Rodriguez only attempted 3 takedowns, and he got 2 of them, and he looked pretty dangerous on the ground, I feel. Petrosian did get up reasonably quickly, but if he'd just been spamming takedowns, he would have easily won that fight. I really think here Kai's going to punish him. He's going to hold him down. He's either going to get the sub or grind out a decision. So what we've got here is 1 unit on the sub at plus 250 and 4 units on the Brahalao money line at minus 152 or $1.66. Now the last one. Now this fight is going to be an absolute banger. It's the last fight on the card, the main event. Dos Anjos versus Fiziev. So the play here is Fiziev money line 7.5 units at minus 233 or $1.43. I think Fiziev is by far the better striker by a mile. He's more explosive. He has excellent movement around the octagon, left, right, and then he just sets up his shots so well. We saw that fight against Renato Moicano where he set up the 3-punch combo and just dropped him like a sack of potatoes. I think Dos Anjos is super hittable. I don't think he looked particularly very good against Moicano. When you take into account he was coming off a fight 5 weeks earlier, he gassed after 2 rounds, and he fought 3 weeks prior. His last 2 wins have come against super short notice, Felder and obviously Moicano. Obviously you saw what Fiziev did to Moicano, and I don't like to play MMA maths, but he dropped him, knocked him out in the first round, and then Dos Anjos couldn't get him out at all, and he was gassed after 2 rounds, and he'd fought 3 weeks prior. I think it's kind of obvious. So the only question here really is Fiziev's gas tank. I know everyone keeps bringing it up, and his takedown defense, but he's got 95% takedown defense. Brad Riddell took him down. That's the only person that's taken him down so far in the UFC. I think it'll hold up enough for him to get at least the first 3 rounds and either take down a decision or take down Dos Anjos late. Don't see Dos Anjos finishing him, maybe with a sub, but it's the way it goes. Nothing's set in stone. Fiziev's a professional. He knows what his holes are. I guarantee you that's all he's been focusing on in this fight camp, and since the fight was made. So I think he makes it look really easy. I think he does it with style, like he always does. So 7.5 units at the minus 233 or $1.43, and I think he just gets it done. So that's our best bets for this upcoming fight card on UFC Vegas 58, Dos Anjos versus Fiziev. If you've got any questions, like and subscribe. Drop them in the comment box. We'll see you next time.